Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
So for me, I think it's every kid as a whole child, first of all, not just academically, but a whole child, and understanding them as a whole child, but also themselves, them understanding themselves, and then what we can do about that and how we can work with that and make them the best that they can be in all aspects, and really, feed off their strengths, but build up what they consider their weaknesses as well.
I also think that it really addresses the whole child, and so it plays off of their strengths, but also builds up those areas of need, whether it's socially, academically, or emotionally.
So I think personalized learning is all about really the antithesis of that one-size-fits-all in education. I think here with personalized learning, we're able to really triage what students need on an individual basis and almost immediately.
What does personalized learning mean to me? An aspect of personalized learning is giving students the flexibility to take as much time as they need to truly master some material. That means also that we as teachers need to provide either very high ceiling work or a greater variety of work for students who get that sort of baseline material more quickly. But part of personalized learning means that we are able to, as teachers, ensure that students learn that baseline level of material and actually learn it because we're giving them the time to learn it at their own pace.
So basically we know that there is no such thing as an average learner. We all learn in many different ways, and so to me personalized learning is really getting at all those different ways that kids can learn and allowing them to experiment with the different ways that they learn and how they engage with the content as well as how they express their learning.
Personalized learning to me really just means that the teacher is kind of taking a step back and really letting the students kind of advocate and run the show. So maybe we are working as a facilitator kind of, and the students are having more voice and choice about what goes on in their classroom, what would they like to do, versus the teacher just kind of making the decision.
To me, personalized learning is giving students more voice and choice in what they're doing and allowing them to go from different input areas all to get to kind of the same output idea, whether that output looks the same or not, but they can access it from all different ways.
Personalized learning means to me that when we acknowledge that it takes a swath of different kinds of people with different kinds of talents to make the world go round, then that opportunity should be afforded to our children. And so we shouldn't believe that every kid is going to show what they know in the same way or demonstrate what they know in the same way or even access what they know in the same way. I always think about the kid who can build anything, They might struggle in reading, but they can build anything. And all we ever talk about is how they struggle in reading, And so how do we make opportunities very present in our classrooms for all learners to really be able to showcase that they are smart and that they have special talents and gifts?
Teacher becomes more of a facilitator. We work a lot on engagement and kids really feeling like they're engaged with what they're learning about. And so having more authentic tasks, as well as having kids kind of understand what are good habits that good learners have and helping them to develop those. So it's really just empowering learners and getting them invested and interested. And so it all starts kind of with them. What are they interested in? And then kind of designing things around that. So if that's been the formula that's been given to every teacher for every single year, then that makes sense that that's where people's idea is what education should look like. And so it's really flipping the whole idea of I do, we do, you do on its head. And it's really starting with the kids. It's kind of like, okay, you do, and let's kind of make paths for people along that, or let me give you something to help you with that, or maybe then you guys can go do this together.
It's not really about like an individual kid doing their own thing. What it's about is for each group of students that walks in your room and like knowing all your kids really well, trying to create real relevance and also giving them as much ownership as possible.
Students kind of become agents in their own learning, so they get to make their own choices about what they do, and maybe how they do it, or maybe when they do it.
And then I think that another big part of creating agency is, like I said, trying as often as possible, wherever it makes sense for us and for them, to incorporate them into collaborating with us on what's coming. Even if we've already decided, these are the themes and this is how we want you to demonstrate your learning, in the end, like what are some ways we could potentially level that? Do you want to work with a partner, a group? What would work better? What texts do you guys think would be awesome? What topic of debate do you want to explore? Like those types of ideas really get them involved, and then when the assignment comes up, they don't feel like it's happening to them. They feel like it's a part of something that they were involved in deciding on.
90% of our class is reading on grade level, and their reading and writing kind of goes hand in hand as well. So I think by having these stations where it's like, research your topic and then write about it, or write about it and then make it, or go to the library and read about this, or we also have some word workstations where they can just practice writing whatever letters. I don't know. I just feel like by them being interested and engaged, they're proving to themselves and me that they can be capable of doing more. I'm getting more results, and the product's much better.
The kids are like dying to get in the morning and don't want to leave in the afternoon. It is like so bizarre, but just the positive impact it's had on their outlook of school and like how they feel about school. Because they used to like want to stay outside and not come in, and now like they honestly are waiting outside the door in the morning when they're not supposed to be, and in the afternoon I have to beg them to pack up.
I've taught this 9th grade physics course for a long time, and I would say both the combination of science practices and physics knowledge that we are genuinely teaching and seeing students learn is tremendous in this class compared to other places I've taught and other versions of this class that I've taught. We're able to get all of our students to a level that I would say maybe 3/4 or half of my students have reached in the past. We're also able to get 1/4 of our students to a totally different level that I've never seen from 9th graders before. Like we are trying to ultimately hold students to a bar that they wouldn't traditionally be held to until college.
So I know for a fact that students that I have both in academic success class, and I might be their advisor, and I might be their business teacher, I notice that those students are doing really, really well because I have so many points of contact with them that A, we've got this great relationship, B, there's this content that we can speak on in throughout several times of the day, and they're able to take the things that they've learned in academic success and really apply them in other areas, and I'm able to use that as a reference. Like, are you showing growth mindset right now?
Have some kids that, just kind of thinking about them towards the beginning of the year, they're just really struggling socially, or they're really struggling like they didn't want to be in school. And the more that they would maybe, thinking about one student in particular, and he would always get in trouble a lot, and I think he didn't really understand why in the past. And so when we talked about, like the choices that you make and how that affects people around you, and then we really broke down, what are the rules, why are they here, what are the steps that you can take in order to get this freedom back that you want. He's made a lot of growth just in his attitude, not just like to be in school, but his attitude towards his work has also changed, and he gets a lot more of his work done.
We had a student who came in to us who had missed 40-something days of school in 4th grade. I mean, a ton, just cataclysmic attendance, right? And the first day of school, we set up a design challenge, and it was very interesting because our GT kids got really upset because they couldn't be perfect the first day of school, which is a whole nother thing we can talk about, why this anxiety to be perfect with our really smart kids is super counterproductive to their mental health, but that's a whole nother aside. And I remember he was working on this project and he took a lead on it, and he was building something, and the kids said to him, I never knew you, some kids said to him, I never knew you could do that. And he said, you never asked me. And that's that is if I had to pinpoint and put my little radar pin on why I think this work is so important for all of our kids, it's that statement in and of itself. Are we asking?